Hi, I am Caitlin Way. This is my preparing materials for a structured work system presentation. My independent work tasks are kept in a 3-drawer shelf in my classroom. Each one is labeled and organized by subject matter, such as like sorting tasks, math tasks, reading, writing, and life skill ones. Most of them that I have are either kept in a gallon or sandwich Ziploc baggie. The student that I created these tasks for is a 3rd grade boy who was diagnosed with autism when he was 3 years old. He has IEP goals of counting money, adding, and shapes. He has low functioning social and academic skills. In this task, my student is working on skip counting by fives. I would only start with a few of them at a time and then build up. So maybe I would start with first counting by fives up to 30. Then I might give them some more to 50. I also have them going all the way up to 100, skip counting by fives. I also have a set of this for 3s and 4s, but the 5s are normally a little bit easier for kids to remember, so I'm starting out with those. You could also create this for skip counting by a whole bunch of other numbers, depending on what your students are working on. In this task, I have my students sorting circles, triangles, and squares of all different colors and sizes. I thought it would be important that the shapes be different sizes. That way he, is realizing that shapes come in all different sizes and you need to know still which one would go with which. I can make this harder by doing polygons. I could, add in more shapes and do different things like that. In my third task, I have counting coins. I have magnetic coins and the paper money amounts, and the student will count out the correct amount of money for each money amount slip. This is the paper that I would use to collect data. Up at the top it says student name and the observer. In the columns it has date, the task name, the times and number of prompts, the duration of activity, and the number correct. In the prompts I have them labeled as different types of prompts. So if the observer uses if the student is independent throughout the task, then they would circle I for independent. If the student needed a verbal prompt from the teacher, they would circle V for verbal prompt. If they needed a partial prompt, a little bit of modeling, a little bit of, showing what to do, then that would be a partial prompt, so you'd circle PP. And then if the teacher actually had to perform the whole activity for that student, I would put P for physical prompt. What went according to plan? What was difficult to teach? How did you address the difficulties? And did you need to revise or add to the prepared materials? My student needed a lot of reinforcement in order to do the work. He was having a stressful last few days because there had been a different substitute teacher while in his classroom. While his classroom teacher, had been gone. So he was pretty stressed out and he really didn't want to do a lot of work for me. We had been working with counting by fives previously, so that activity was a little bit easier, as was the shape sorting, because he was going through those pretty fast. But the counting coins activity was very difficult for him since he's only been working on counting by fives instead of counting by 25s. He doesn't know how to count by 25s, so I'm going to revise the coin counting to smaller amounts and work up to the larger amounts. So I'll probably redo it and start with using nickels since we are counting by fives, or using pennies, even though I know that will probably take a while. But just getting those different smaller amounts so that he's not frustrated, and then working up to those larger amounts when we're ready to count by 10s and count by 25s.